The topics and opinions expressed on the following show are solely those of the hosts and their guests and not those of W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4WN Radio, its employees, or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4WN Radio.
Let's listen as Lorraine Lapointe, coach, therapist, educator, speaker, and founder of Head Heart Synergy, brings together another enlightened guest to inspire and motivate us to move forward, achieve our dreams and desires, so that we experience midlife awakening.
And I'm your host, Lorraine Lapointe. Today we'll enjoy another candid conversation that reveals how to bring back a sense of balance and how to find forward focus. Today, take just a few moments to join us as we explore the possibilities and the perspectives that provide us with greater inner peace, power, passion, and purpose. Because that's what I call living at the edge of fulfillment in a midlife awakening. Hello and welcome. I wonder, have you ever noticed that for some, procrastination can be a really big issue? You know, just not getting done what you need to get done or wanting to get done what you need to get done. And if it's not procrastination, then perhaps it's shiny squirrel syndrome. You know, staying motivated to get finished what you need to finish can be just as challenging as procrastination. And yet, as we grew up, one of the world's smartest bears, Winnie the Pooh, said, "You are braver than you believe and smarter than you seem, and you're stronger than you think." And as children, the adults around us hope that the messages would kind of sink in deeply into our psyche and help us achieve and accomplish great things. And for some, that did happen. And for most, that didn't happen. And instead, most kids experience events that suggested otherwise, and they develop the beliefs that we would be loved if or when we, performed in some acceptable way. And that led to a whole set of different beliefs. So I wonder, how do you handle getting things done in your life? Does the story of your past history still influence your motivation even today? You find yourself hiding out, like avoiding being seen and heard by others. Especially in the world of being online, sometimes it's just easier to be busy doing other things than actually showing up and stepping out. It's as if we're fearful of being judged as unworthy. And J.M. Green has said, everyone has a history, and what you do with it is really up to you. Some repeat it and some learn from it, and a few really special ones use it to help others. I love that quote. And perhaps you're one of the empowered ones, and you've taken the lessons from previous life events and they propel you forward to help others. And that's awesome. But wherever you find yourself right now, I invite you to listen today as we explore a show with the title, The Power of Self-Discovery. Because it doesn't matter where you are in your journey, or whether you're just thinking about your next steps, or whether your head is down and you're running towards your goal with all your focus, intention, and effort. Ultimately, you only have one moment to live at a time. And life is about discovering what works for you and works well for you right now. So on today's show, our guest has experiences that reveal her ability to see strengths in others. She holds the space and guides her clients towards breakthroughs, and she supports all the fine tuning that help her clients get back into their own rhythm and to stay on track. And we're going to meet her very soon. And by the way, for those who I haven't met before, I'm Lorraine Lapointe, and you can think of me as a guide who shows compassionate women who have a burning desire to use their strengths, gifts, and talents to serve others. They want to know how to shift their thoughts, feelings, and beliefs so they can feel fulfilled and purposeful in their life. And now's a really good time to discover the answer to questions that you might be asking, like, is this all there is? Or even like, what's next for me? Because we get to a point in life where we start asking those bigger questions. Good morning, Angela. Good to see you. Research shows that as we get stronger, we broaden our perspectives. We gain awareness and we see opportunities that we previously thought of as obstacles. And with the right mindset, we develop positive focus and tune up our mental fitness. And that's why I reach out through this radio and talk for TV programs, and it happens every week, because I'm creating with you an inspiring, safe, and sacred space to explore different ways that we can all live with greater peace, power, passion, and purpose. So today, whether you're here live or you've come across us later on, I invite you to engage and connect with us, because we broadcast in all kinds of different places. And through the magic of technology, we appear on several different social media platforms. So your mission today is to become aware of something in the conversation that you find especially interesting. And then be sure to let us know, because that's how we get to know you. And the better we understand what inspires and motivates you, the more we can offer interesting ways to talk more deeply about interesting topics like finding fulfillment that each one of us craves. So you simply add your comments in the chat box, wherever that may be, up, down, wherever it is for you, wherever you're tuning in at the moment, and let us know what's on your mind. And you can also encourage family and friends to join us as we explore the power of self-discovery here on the Edge of Fulfillment. And we are broadcasting on the Women for Women Network Radio and Talk for TV. And I want to bring to your awareness our producer, who you won't see, and thank her for all the work that she does behind the scenes, revealing comments and highlighting questions. And we do love your questions. Just put the hashtag symbol, the word question, and ask your question and shape the program into something that is really most interesting for you. And this week, every week, actually, we run a contest, and I'm super excited to tell you about this week's. But first, let me tell you about the winner from last week's show. Congratulations, Lisa Taylor. Lisa entered the contest by submitting the 5 special words when she was asked at the end of the show. Good morning, Sherry. Nice to see you here. And Lisa has won a special energy session with our previous guest, Lori Appleby. So congratulations, Lisa. And this week's contest is extra special because today's guest is sponsoring not 1, but 2 prizes. And those prizes are sponsored by Leslie Rochelle Coaching and Counseling. And she will give one winner a personal 45-minute session valued at $350. And a second prize winner will be able to choose one of her 2 books, either Silent Grief, Healing and Hope, or Obstacles Equal Opportunities, Volume 2. So to be entered into the contest, all you do is listen throughout the show for the 5 inspirational words. And then at the end, we'll ask you to put all 5 words in the chat or email them. And I'll give you the email address at the end of the show. Remember, just jot down the words so that you can put the words in the chat at the end. And you've already heard the first one, so keep track of this one. The first word today is awareness. And so go ahead and keep track of awareness as our first special word of the day. And as you always hear on Edge of Fulfillment, we're building a fun and interactive, engaging community of like-minded people. And we also hang out in our Facebook group, thanks Roxy, called Mindfully Moving Forward. So if you haven't joined us there, please be sure not to miss it. And we're going to take a very short little break to connect with our guest right afterwards. And you are listening here on the Edge of Fulfillment on W4WN, Women for Women Network, and Talk for TV. And we will be right back.
Did
Did you know video is the future on content? There are 3 good reasons why video is the future of content. Number 1, videos are often more engaging than simple pictures or music alone. Number 2, it's much easier to tell your story through video. Number 3, because we love to watch video, they go viral much faster. Hey, notice you're still watching right now. See how well it works. Next time we can play your video here instead. Ask me how. Shine online on Talk4 TV and W4WN Radio.
Mental fitness, the missing X factor for enhancing performance, achievement, and success. Mental fitness empowers you with the magic of 3: stabilized mood, peace of mind, deeper relationships. Time to make it happen? Grow the self-command muscle. Intercept your self-defenses. Build your inner wisdom. In less than 15 minutes a day, gain the missing X factor. Let me show you how.
So welcome back. Let's have a quick recap. We are running a little bit of a different contest this week. And I just mentioned there are going to be not 1, but 2 prizes sponsored by our guest, Leslie. And you are listening here at Midlife Awakening at the Edge of Fulfillment. Just for those that are just tuning in, the first prize is a personal 45-minute private session valued at $350. And the second prize this week is a signed copy of either of Leslie's books, Silent Grief, Healing and Hope, or Obstacles Equal Opportunities. And we've already heard the first of the 5 special words that you'll need to put in the comments at the end of the show. And so don't put them in now. Wait until the end when you've got all 5. And the first word was awareness. So now you can listen for the other words and put them in when you're asked at the end. So we continue on the Edge of Fulfillment on the Women for Women Network Radio and Talk4 TV by welcoming today's guest. So let me tell you a little bit about Leslie. Leslie Tremblay is a wife, a mom. She's a site-based leader for one of Canada's largest energy companies, and she's an international bestseller in terms of being an author. She's the founder of a new company too, and she's called her new company Leslie Rochelle Coaching and Consulting. And I'm hoping she'll tell us all about that. Leslie has taken her corporate skill set and translated it with special bonuses for her clients, because her coaching involves leadership, life coaching, personal development, and she beautifully sprinkles that with her own brand of spirituality. So enough chit chat. I'm excited to bring her out. Welcome, Leslie.
Hello. How are you?
I'm great. So good to have you here.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, you're very welcome. And somebody mentioned that I'm squinting today, and I have to admit, I'm working with very little sleep today. So if I look a little sleepy, don't take it personally.
Yeah, it was an early morning here too, so it's all good.
It is an early morning because I understand that you're out in Alberta.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Awesome. So let's dive right in. So I understand that you've discovered a lot as you've experienced different transitions within your own life. And I'm wondering where you'd like to start your story today.
Maybe I'll actually start with a story of how it came to be that I contributed a story to the first book that I was a part of, and it's a compilation. Both books are compilations.
Oh.
The first one being Obstacles Equals Opportunity, Volume 2. And really where that started was a failed relationship is how kind of it all started, and then understanding the fact that I had no idea who I was when this relationship ended, because I had put so much into the relationship, that I was in before. And when that relationship ended, I had to go through this whole discovery about who Leslie was. What is she like? What are the, what does she want to do? So there was a lot of trial and error, definitely some lessons learned along the way there. which is fine because these are the things that definitely allow us to grow. And ultimately, because of this transition that I went through, I ended up with my beautiful little boy that I never thought that I'd actually ever have. So, and yeah. So it was kind of one of those things where it wasn't the right match the first time. And, because of that, there's, two extra little people in this world because that didn't work out, which allowed something else and better to come into my life. So.
Yeah, and I find that kids give us such a strong sense of why we're here. That sense of connection to each other. And I don't know about your kids, but that's what as a teacher and a principal, that's what I found with children. And actually, that is one of our special words today, the word why. Knowing your why, because this program's all about the power of discovery and self-discovery. So I'm curious, what lights you up these days as you step into your best self? Like, you went through that transition from one relationship, and I'm assuming there have been others, or another.
That's right. It's a special one, right?
So what lights you up today as you are, like, I always think that we go through transitions, kind of little transitions all the time, but
I think that I guess the thing that lights me up the most is being able to, have these types of conversations, to be able to help guide someone along their path. And, I don't take any action on it myself. That's totally up to the individual to be able to do that, but to be able to provide some of that guidance and some of that counsel in order to help move someone along their own path. So having those meaningful conversations and digging in really deep, sometimes uncomfortable, but definitely is worth it to get to that other side.
Yeah, and you have just opened, or not really opened, but you tell us about your new business.
Okay.
This is your coming out party, right?
This is my coming out party. So, a few years ago, I work for a really fantastic company that I work for, and I was given an opportunity, one that never even entered my realm of thinking. And I was offered a leadership role to which I felt like a fish out of water, but somebody had the belief in me that I could actually do this job. And it took a lot out of me and almost broke me until I kind of surrendered to it, to say, okay, something has to give here. Something's not working for me. And it was really taking a look at me, myself, and I as to, what is it that I really, truly want? Who am I? Why do I want these extra things in my life? And it wasn't until that point, where I had to pick myself up. Coming home exhausted. I work a little bit of a different shift than most people, but it was really picking myself up pretty much off of the floor to say, okay, something has to change. And that's when I got to the opportunities to be able to dig into myself. And going through this path, I just know that there's other people who have been there, and that I'm able to provide some support to be able to maybe shorten that period of discomfort, and helping people get to that point where they are more fulfilled. They have more of that joy in their life. They're more satisfied with what they are doing, whether that be personally or professionally. So I decided last year was supposed to be the year, but that year didn't go as quite, as planned.
for most of us.
For most of us, right? Yeah. What I thought I was going to be doing, at the beginning of the year to the end of the year, changed drastically. So I did put it off, which I'm really, really thankful that I did, because again, last year was most certainly a growth period for a lot of us, and that just helped cemented some of the direction that I would like to go in. So this is just something that I have a real passion for, and it's something that I'd like to be able to share with others, to be able to help support other people. Because I've always known that I've wanted to help others, and now I figured out what that is. Yeah,
that's awesome. So this is quite different from what you do in terms of, for your full-time sort of work at work, isn't it?
It is. There is a translation though. So I was leading a team of professional platters and schedulers. Amazing, if they're listening. Love them a lot. And we've just gone.
If they're listening, let's have them say hello.
If they are there.
Because we don't know you're there unless you make a comment.
There you go. And we've just gone through a reorganization with a company right now. And so I just started in a new role. So I've gone from a leadership role to an advisory role. But so I'm really excited to dig into that one and get to learn some new things here as well. But what that leadership role has provided me is a lot of the skills. When you look at life coaching, when you look at leadership training, it's very, very, very similar. So that I'm able to use what I've learned in one area and translate it over to definitely to the other. It is a weird transition though. It seems to be easier to do it for somebody else than it actually does to be doing it for myself, even though it's relatively the same way with a few extra little bits and pieces thrown in there. It's just that I end up becoming the one person to do everything, as you know. Yeah.
Well, being an entrepreneur, you wear all the hats, right?
That's right.
And I mean, when I was a principal and a teacher, I had staff around me. I had everybody with their own roles, and now I'm it. Good morning, Angeline. So lovely to see you from New York. And good morning, Jennifer. Nice to see you with us as well. So I'm curious, is there something that you know now, Leslie, that you wish you'd known, like either years ago or at some point in the past?
When I'm asked that question, it's, what would you kind of tell your younger self? And mine is definitely learn your lessons quicker.
And less painfully, perhaps?
Less painfully. So we don't keep repeating them over and over and over again, because the universe is beautiful that way, where if there is something that we're supposed to be learning and you don't learn it the first time, you get plenty of opportunity to practice that, right? To learn that lesson, to be able to move on, to be able to up level, to be able to live into your best self, into your higher purpose, right?
Yes. So it makes me curious. What's the best mistake you've ever made?
I don't actually consider anything mistakes or regrets, because each and every moment have gotten me exactly to where I am right now, and I'm really good with where I'm at. I have, the love of my life. I have the little boy. I didn't have him till I was 42, so he's my little miracle. So he's now in grade 1. Beautiful little person. So I wouldn't say that I have any regrets or I guess getting to this point. It's been a tough go at some points, but ultimately it's gotten me to where I am, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what the future does hold for all of us.
Yeah, and you've really highlighted actually two things that that are near and dear to my heart, and one of them is that we don't have to learn all our lessons ourselves if we can learn through other people. Sometimes watching what someone else has done and then knowing that there's a pitfall there, we can short circuit things a little bit, and but sometimes the lessons are right there. Like I know some of my lessons are right there in my face. Good morning, John. As you pointed out, if you don't necessarily address what's going on, sometimes you repeat it over and over and over again until, the universe is absolutely friendly that way. It gives you lots of opportunities.
That's right. That's right.
If you don't notice it's an opportunity, then it'll throw you another one.
That's right.
Yeah.
definitely not at the time. And they start off as these little whispers about, maybe where you're going off track, until there comes to one point, where you're now on your knees because you haven't been listening to it and you haven't been taking the action to move yourself forward. You haven't been taking care of you while you continue to take care of everybody else. Then you become depleted, and that's not good for anybody.
And self-care is so important. That whole, like, we hear it over and over and over. Put your own oxygen mask on first. But I think as women, typically, we tend to focus outside of ourselves. And self-care, I don't know for you, but for me, it's a challenge at times.
It can be a challenge at times, but I guess I have a bit of a different perspective on self-care than maybe some other folks do. Self-care is not about Epsom salts baths and getting your nails done and eating chocolate cake, although those are all really fun and nice to do. But that self-care piece is really about standing in your own power, having the ability to say no and being okay with that no. Some of the best things in my life have come to me because of saying no to something else. I've left room for some of the other good stuff to come in. It's saying yes to aligned opportunities. I'm so incredibly grateful for being here. So thank you for for having me here. This is an opportunity for me to get out of my own comfort zone doing this. It's moving with the flow and not the force of things. There's a lot of people that, pride themselves on hustle, and I don't. I used to be in that rush, go, go, go. Just let's make things happen. But when you can just allow things to flow through and to become what they're supposed to be, man, that's a lot easier to be able to do that. Right. It's like kink in a hose. When you try to force something, it takes so much more effort for the water to get out. But whereas if you can just let it flow, and that's not to say not taking any action on things, but when you can just release it, let it flow, then it becomes a lot easier that way. Right?
I'm writing down that line that you use. Beautiful. Flow, not force.
Flow, not force. When you try to force an outcome, sometimes that outcome isn't what you had expected it to be when you had set that intention in the first place.
Yeah. Sorry to interrupt. Did you catch what Sherry just said? I think it's brilliant.
Take care of yourself. You're better for everyone around you. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's leaning into what you're saying yourself at the moment.
Yeah, it 100% is, because if you can't fill yourself up, you become depleted, which means then you're not as useful to serve others around you. So when you can fill yourself up by asking for what you want, second.
It sounds like we might be losing Leslie a little bit.
The feedback. Oh.
Yeah, did we lose you a little bit there, Leslie?
Oh, are you back now? I saw a little bit of a.
Yeah. I think we lost you a little bit. Actually, I'm going to take this opportunity to let our listeners know that they've heard 3 of the 5 words. Actually, they've heard 4, but I'll only give them 3 at the moment. So they've heard awareness, they've heard why, the big why, and they've heard self-care. So jot those 3 words down. And there's 2 more to go, one of which you've already heard, but I'll tell you about that in a minute. And I'm just going to take this opportunity for our listeners to take a little break and think about and contemplate for themselves what you were just saying, which was so magical about flow versus force, and what Sherry brought out about being self-full is not selfish.
Correct.
And so we'll be right back here on the Edge of Fulfillment, here on Women for Women Network Radio and Talk for TV.
There comes a time we wonder, what's next? For women like us, as we stand at the edge of fulfillment, are you feeling unsettled, restless, not quite right? That's midlife awakening. Are you looking for fulfillment? Or to squeeze more juice out of life? Midlife awakening at the edge of fulfillment, don't miss it. We understand. By phone or laptop, wherever you are, come join us. Friday 10 a.m. Eastern Time, on Head Heart Synergy Facebook business page, or here, on the Women for Women Network Radio and Talk 4 TV.
Hey, are you looking for a brighter future? Wishing for greater calm, clarity, and confidence? What if you knew an inside job was the answer? Your mission: stop the inner burn. Gain mental fitness so you get more out of life. Imagine in about 15 minutes a day for just 6 weeks. Come on, we'll show you how. Don't miss it. Just go to www.lorraine.gives/M-Fitness and join us right now.
And welcome back to the Edge of Fulfillment. And we are having a wonderful conversation today with our guest, Leslie Tremblay. And we've already heard 3 out of 5 of our special words for our contest. And thank you so much, Leslie. You are providing for us 2 special prizes today. The first is the 45-minute session with you. And the second prize is a choice of one of 2 of your books. So that's awesome, and I want to thank you for that. And the 3 words that we've already heard are awareness, why, the big why in our lives, and self-care. And now I'd like to mention the 4th, because you talked about that just before the break, and that was power, that we need to be empowered to be self-full and to let our lives flow without force. Did I summarize that well?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome.
Yes.
Is this a
you did.
Is this a good time, I think, to do an oracle card reading and see what the universe has to tell us? So
Absolutely.
All right. I'm going to grab my cards here. And as I shuffle, you just say stop, and I will stop and see what card comes out this week.
Okay. Stop.
All right. And, oh, this is exciting. I don't know if you'll be able to see that. This one is endless possibilities. What a beautiful card. So let's hear what that one is all about. Endless possibilities. It says, you look at the world through the lens of your life experiences, your personality, and your conditioning, which is kind of what we were talking about at the beginning. And that filter determines whether you believe in an abundant universe of endless possibilities, or you believe in limitations and a finite range of options. So take a moment to ask yourself, what do you believe? Do you know intuitively that there is more to life and more than meets the eye? As you believe, so it will be for you, because conditions meet expectations. So if you're not gaining in your life what you want at the moment, open yourself up to a greater version of you. And that's exactly what you had said earlier. Today, here's the end suggestion. Today, you're walking past the line that you and others drew long ago for you. Leap over what was and towards what will be, because you are far more now than you ever were.
I mean, how incredibly appropriate, right? For today.
Yeah, well, mic drop.
That's right. I mean, yeah. No, as you know, I'm a firm believer in there. And, when we're on this road to self-discovery and understanding who we are as a human being, not as a mom, not as an employee, anything like that, but who we truly are. There are going to be some challenges along the way. If we want to just lead in, everything is fine, it's comfortable, it's good, you can certainly have that. But if you know that there's something more, and I knew that there was something more, there was this pull and this, in the last little while, it's been more of a push than just a gentle push forward. But this one was a shove to say that, that there is something more out there, and you have to be able to, I suppose, be courageous enough to take that step. But knowing that when we invite the opportunity to grow, we also invite the opportunity for challenges and obstacles to come our way. And then you can identify those as opportunities to learn. You can let them hold you back, or you can just ask yourself, what is this thing that's happening right now? Why is this trigger here? And if you can learn to dig into that and understand what it's trying to teach you, and it gets quicker, it does, but it really just is, it's just magic, really.
Well, and I do find that sometimes we can't do it for ourselves. I think this is where, I like to be independent, too much so at times.
Yeah.
And that, wanting to be independent is a good thing until it's taken too far, just like most of our strengths of our personality. But the longer I live and the more challenges I resolve, the more I realize that I'm not supposed to do these things alone.
And because we can't see our blind spots.
Not at all.
Right? Somebody else can, and they can point them out to you. I don't know if you've ever had, you probably have, being in your line of work, but doing personality assessments, and you get the results and you're like, this doesn't make sense. You give it to somebody else that knows you really well, and they're like, oh no, they've pegged you. Like, this is right on. Yeah. Money for that. Sometimes
the truth is a little disconcerting. Well, and I think that's because of our inner saboteurs, those inner critical voices that we hear in our mind.
Yeah.
They're there whispering in our ear. And of course, they've been there for many, many years, because as a child, they were there to protect us. But now as adults, they literally get in our way sometimes. And those are the blind spots, right? We don't like, I just said about my independence, and I have another lovely blind spot, which is hyperachievement. And I'll drive myself to literally into the ground at times. And I know other women do that too. And sometimes it takes someone else to go, stop it. Or have you noticed?
Yeah. And asking yourself, why are you doing it?
Yeah.
Right. Like when we're going to go back to the big why there for just a moment. But when you say, I want this thing, right? You have to ask yourself, well, why do I want this thing? And you're going to need to ask yourself that why at the end of each answer, probably about 5 to 7 times, to really understand what is the root cause, if you wish, for this. Like, what is it that you really, really desire? You may think that, I want this thing because it's going to make me feel that way, but there's many other ways to be able to feel that way. You just haven't been able to see them yet. So generally speaking, you may want this thing, and it will end up with an emotion at the end of it. So don't tie yourself to just this thing, saying this thing is going to make me happy. Really find out, dig into that, and ask yourself, why do I want this? Okay, well, answer the question. Okay, well, why is that important? How is that going to bring any more fulfillment to my life? Until you get down to that final piece, and then, okay, this is the thing that we're going to work towards, whether it's this, your original thought, or whether it's something else that can bring it to you that way. So don't get tied to the outcome of it either.
Yeah, because sometimes when we ask for things, they don't seem to appear. But but later when we look back, we actually got exactly what we asked for. It just didn't come to us in the way that we anticipated.
That's right.
And that leads us to discovery. That leads us to an opportunity to be excited by what does come, and discover, or discovery is our fourth word for today, or perhaps our fifth. I've now lost count. But such great advice and what you said there was really important. It's about feeling. Ultimately, I think a lot of things, or almost everything, comes down to feeling.
Yeah, it's the connection, it's the feeling. And I think one of the things that I suppose sets me apart from from everybody else that I work with within my peer group is not what makes me the same, but what makes me different from them. I bring a different level of, I guess I just bring me, which brings a little bit of magic. So there's a lot of empathy. There's a lot of holding space. I really care about the people, and I know they know it because they've given me some beautiful feedback as well. So give it and receive it as well, and take it in for whatever it is.
Receiving is also a critical piece. Thank you for bringing that out. I'm gonna change tacks a little bit here. I'm wondering, you are inspiring others. Who inspires you?
I have a lot of people that inspire me. I mean, I'm a coach with a coach, right? So she inspires me. I have mentors that I work with. I am a mentor to others through work as well. So all those people really inspire me. I have, Brene Brown. I think she's amazing. Dare to Lead. Simon Sinek. Leaders Eat Last. Brendan Burchard. I'm currently reading his book, The Motivation Manifesto. It's brilliant. It's beautiful. Just when I see someone who is going after their dream, that inspires me. I can, when I see, the average person going for it, it inspires me to say, okay, well, yeah, you can do that too, right? You could also have that.
Well, and that's actually what this show is all about, because I bring wonderful guests on like yourself, and if one person can do something that you're inspired to do, then you can do it too.
That's right. Sometimes it's just seeing it in somebody else sparks a little flame within yourself, right?
Yeah, exactly. So if someone asked you for your advice about a work-life balance, I mean, quite often that's the question, right? How do I get that balance? What do you tell them?
I don't think there's true balance of being like a 50-50. I think sometimes your home life needs more attention than your work life does. And so that's where your focus should be. And sometimes your work life needs a little bit more attention. So that's what you give it. I don't think it's, you have to equate it to hours for hours. I think it's a matter of putting in the best possible effort for each, because I don't think they can ever be the same. I think you give attention to where it needs to be at the moment.
Yeah, and actually, I'd like our listeners and watchers, unless you're driving, don't do this.
Don't do this.
But if you're not driving and you have an opportunity, just stand up for just a moment and just lift one foot off the ground. And now pay attention to the other foot. And what do you notice? If you're like most of us, what you'll notice, it's okay, you can put both feet on the ground now. Don't want anyone to fall over. What you might notice is that there were literally hundreds of micro adjustments that were needed in order to keep you balanced on one foot.
Yeah.
And I did that once, and I thought, what a beautiful metaphor for life, and exactly what you were saying. There's no balance, isn't 50-50.
It's certainly not. I mean, sometimes even in in relationships, it's a matter of, what do you have to be able to give today? Oh, I'm only at 40%. Okay, well, I'll pick up the extra piece that you don't have, because I have some more energy to give to our family unit. So try to equal 100, but sometimes, one person is going to be giving a little bit more in specific areas as well too. So it's a shared thing, but really just look at what is the most important thing that I need to be doing right now, and that's what you should be doing. Being present with it and being with that at that moment.
And for those who don't have a partner and can't, or don't have someone to help buffer that, one of the other ways that you can regain energy and regain balance is through music and being inspired and listening to music that really touches your soul. Is there any music that you prefer, Leslie? Have you got your favorites that touch your soul?
I do. Anything that makes me move, kind of gets the energy flowing, which also therefore increases your vibration as well too. So that, if you put on some good music, if you happen to not be driving, dance around a little bit, right? Or
I dance around in my car sometimes.
That's right, in your car seat. But I definitely don't like music that someone's yelling at me throughout it, but something that just makes me smile and just makes my heart sing. I have a wide variety of likes that I like to listen to, different languages, just different melodies, that type of thing. So no one in particular stands out, but something that just the words resonate and mean something to me. The beat is really good as well.
Actually, you've just triggered a memory for me. There's something called the Devi prayer, Devi, I believe, the Devi prayer, and it's I believe it's Indian. I'm not sure, but it is definitely a different language, and I only have one, so they're all different languages to me. But it is the most beautiful resonant chanting and singing, and I should have used it last night. So maybe that's why it's come to my mind. It's because I needed something last night, and that would have been perfect. But anyway, we're unfortunately short of time, but I'd love to hear if there's anything that you haven't shared that you'd love to share, or if you could tell us what projects you have that are coming up soon.
Right now, the projects that I have coming up soon is, I've just opened my doors, so this is brand new to me within the entrepreneurial space. I'm not new at the what I provide is just being in that entrepreneurial space. So I am currently working on a group type of program, because right now I work exclusively with one-on-one clients right now. So I am working on that, planning a move, and it's going to be a busy year.
Yeah, that's awesome. So people can connect with you through the LinkedIn address that I can see.
Yes.
Bottom there. Is that the best way?
That is the best way to contact me, is through LinkedIn. I don't have all the dressing yet. That can all come later because it doesn't take away from the support that I'm able to provide. Having all the pretty pieces in place. Yeah,
put the important pieces, which are the people pieces.
That's right.
In first. So I want to thank you so much for being here today, Leslie. It's been great catching up with you and hearing about your new business opening, Leslie Rochelle Coaching and Counseling. And I want to thank you again for sponsoring our prizes. And here are the 5 words for our listeners so that they can put them in the chat right now. And those 5 words were awareness, the big why, self-care, power, and discovery. So once again, awareness, the big why, self-care, power, and discovery. And go ahead, pop those in the chat, or you can send them to me at support@headheartsynergy.com. And just put in thank you, Roxy, and just put in the subject line contest, because otherwise I get inundated with a flood of emails and sometimes I miss them. So make sure you put in the subject line contest at and send it to support@headheartsynergy.com, and you will be entered to win. And Leslie has been most generous in providing 2 prizes today. One is a session with her, and the other is what you get to choose one of her 2 books. So we will announce the winners next week to that. And I want to thank you, Leslie, for being here, and all of our listeners and watchers, and invite them, all of you actually, to join other like-minded people in the Facebook group called Mindfully Moving Forward. We can continue the conversation there. And, one of the things that I know as a host here on Head Heart Synergy and the Edge of Fulfillment is that the edge of fulfillment is a choice. You can stay on the edge and always get what you've always got. Or you can become, as Leslie said, become courageous. Move beyond the edge and get what you really want in life. And we'll see you again next week. Bye for now.